Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Lathan Minich Show. I am your host, Lathan M.S. Minich. This is episode 4 entitled 47, question mark, question mark. In this episode, I'm going to talk about what's on my mind on my 47th birthday, my health and weight management, why I seem to be unable to remain consistent on this project of, my podcast and just general content creation. And lastly, but not leastly, the status of my mental health. Before I get further into this, let me start with the routine stuff. The Lathan Minich Show is available on all the top podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, etc. The video version can currently be found on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@LathanMinich. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. I am at Lathan Minich on Instagram and Twitter, currently known as X. I'm still looking forward to someone buying Twitter and renaming it to Twitter. But anyway, and my Facebook page is facebook.com/Lathan Minich. If you want to send me an email, you can reach me at lathanminich@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, on with the show. So today is, as I'm recording this, I hope to upload it today, but we'll see. Today is February 23rd, 2025. It is my 47th birthday. So how do I feel about that? Well, I'm I'm a couple years away from 50, so that's, it's kind of, I don't know, scary, intimidating. I think most of like what I worry about with my age is it's society, man. Um, it's like a societal thing where I was once told by my therapist that we live in a society that's obsessed with youth and beauty. Excuse me. We live in a society that's obsessed with youth and beauty. Um, And I think that's just part of human nature, because the older we get, the closer we are to the end of this life. And I think that's just amplified by society. But back to the point of, well, how do I feel about it? I have the same, I don't know, feelings about it that a lot of people have. I'm insecure about my age. But I think more so than my age itself, I would say that it bothers me when I look at, oh, I'm 47 now. It bothers me. What am I doing with myself? What am I doing with these 47 years? Where am I in my life? That's the part that bothers me. The age is just like a factor in that bigger issue. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm recording the podcast. That's why I'm trying to do something other than what I've been doing for most of my life. I guess we'll say my adult life, as far as jobs and what I want to do in this world. But yeah, so on that note, I want to talk about my health and my weight management. Um, so as I said, today is my birthday, February 23rd. I was 242 pounds on January 5th, 2023. I started a diet program. It was a keto diet program with a nutritionist named Dr. Jody Nishida. And I lost a lot of weight, and I'd lost it pretty quickly. I lost like, uh, I forget, but I think at the top or the lowest weight I was like 82, 83 pounds down in a matter of like less than a year. And that was with, there was plenty of cheating in there. There was plenty of I would say like on average about once a month I would cheat, and when I'm eating out or whatever, have something that doesn't stick to the diet. have some dessert or some carbs, God forbid. Um, but then, as I was losing all that weight, um, I felt really shitty. And I don't, I'm not going to say it was the diet per se, but I'm sure it was a factor. Um, I guess I should rewind and say that I was a vegetarian for 8 years until I started working with Dr. Jody, and her program is not very suited to a vegetarian diet. I mean, she tried. She tried early on to give me all these options that I could eat and stick to her plan. But ultimately, a lot of it was like dairy stuff, like yogurt and cottage cheese and different kinds of like nuts and stuff, seeds. But none of that agreed with me. So I just went. I was enjoying the weight loss, so I just went for it. I started eating fish because like, oh, that was like some form of, I guess, animal protein that would that fit within her diet. Um, and then I think about 5 6 months in, we got my labs back, and I was anemic. I think I might have been anemic off and on, while I was a vegetarian, because I think that's one thing that people who are on a diet like that struggle with is iron. Apparently, there's plenty of iron in red meat. Um, so yeah, so I'm at that point where, okay, I'm losing all this weight. I'm getting all these compliments, which is nice, but that's all in my ego. And so I started eating red meat. Uh, infrequently, once a week, if that. Um, she recommended these supplements to me. Heart and Soil, I think it's called, and it's basically meat, but it's like animal, like organs, desiccated, which means dried, and in pill form. I think that's what I did first, and at that point I was like, okay, I'm basically eating meat, even if I'm taking it in like this kind of convenient pill form where I don't have to look at like a bloody steak, but I'm eating meat, and that's at that point I went, okay, fine. I started eating. I would eat like a steak maybe once a week, a burger, bunless burger, of course. Um, but I mean, the point with all of that is that through all of that, I felt, like I said, I lost all that weight, and then I felt shitty most of the time. I guess what I haven't mentioned yet is that I got COVID in October of 2022, I believe. Yeah. And I guess I have post COVID or long COVID syndrome, whatever, long haul, they call it. Um, so that was affecting me this entire time. And so, like, the whole time I'm losing weight, I'm feeling crappy. I feel like, I get like flu like symptoms probably a couple times a month at least. And so again, I'm on this diet. I'm trying to follow Dr. Jody's advice. Um, and then I figured, okay, so that's what I'm missing. I'm missing this red meat will help me. Um, and maybe it did. I don't know. But anyway, I got to a point, January of 2024, where I'm at the lowest weight I've ever been at, and I'm posting it on Facebook, and Dr. Jody posted it on her page, and all these people are giving me compliments, which is great. But again, ego. Um, and I had this streak around this time last year. I had this streak where, like, all of 2023, where I lost all that weight, I did very little exercise. I know, obviously, it's supposed to be, diet and exercise is supposed to improve your health. I was sticking to the diet as far as Dr. Jody's diet, but I didn't do much exercise. And again, I was feeling crappy most of the time. Yeah, so I had this streak. I want to say from February to, I guess, early April, where I was going to the gym pretty consistently, because that was my plan. I said, okay, I lost all this weight last year. Now I'm gonna put on some muscle. I'm eating red meat infrequently. But yeah, so I started going to the gym, and I figured, after I was feeling better, and after I had my labs in, I want to say July of 2023, that said I was anemic. I got labs after I started eating red meat, and they looked better. I was feeling better. I thought, okay, I've got this whole post COVID thing, taken care of. But then I got sick again. I got sick. I want to say early April. Yeah, I have a picture on my fridge of me posing. I I throughout this whole process, I usually take a picture of myself shirtless, and I record all my measurements. I used to post those. I don't post them now. Um, I know. I want to say it's because I'm wondering why I'm doing that. Am I doing that for myself, or am I doing that for attention? Of course, I can also say that I stopped posting because I started gaining weight again. But yeah, so doing so well, like working out and stuff around the time, and it's just like today is my birthday, and I went to the gym this morning. I went to the gym on my birthday last year, because it's a motivation for me. Like, okay, I'm a year older. I got to take care of myself. Da 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 da. Um, and like I said, I thought I had this. I thought I had this thing licked. I thought I had this post COVID, like, at least controlled or defeated or something. Apparently not, because I got sick again, like really bad for a couple weeks. Missing all kind of time at work. Luckily, I've been at my job long enough that I have, like, I have PTO that accumulates, and I don't know if I ever like went into the negative or went to the point where I wasn't getting paid for a few days. But yeah, so at that point, April 2024, I got really discouraged because I got sick again. So um even after I got better, I don't think I went to the gym after that. I checked my history like not too long ago. I think it was early April was the last time I went to the gym. During that time, I've been to the gym since. Um, and then late May, I had surgery on my elbow, which I think I spoke about in my last episode. Um, and that had me laid up where I couldn't do much. And I mean, this sounds so silly, but I was given graham crackers after the surgery, like as a initial post surgery, I mean, you call it meal, but snack, because my stomach was all, I don't know, filled with I don't know, whatever, the anesthesia to put you to sleep, and it makes you nauseous. So I I ate those graham crackers after surgery, and then, oh wow, sugar. And then I bought more graham crackers when I got home, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And I don't know if I want to go into detail about how much junk food and how much sweets I've eaten over the past, whatever it's been, I guess we'll say 10 months since 5, 7, whatever, little less than a year. But now I've gained basically all that weight back. At one point recently, I was at I think the highest I've seen myself at is like 244 or 245. I weighed myself this morning. I think I'm at 239. And today's my birthday, so I'm gonna have some cake and I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna enjoy myself. But I do believe that I'm on the downtrend again, and hopefully in a more healthy way. Um, Again, I really liked working with Dr. Jody. I would recommend her program. I absolutely would to anybody. Um, theketoprescription.com. Check it out. I absolutely recommend it. I just don't know that it worked out ultimately for me. And I still stick to it because I know it works for the most part. But I want to get to a point where I have like some small percentage of my food is some kind of carb, some kind of whole grain. Because all the other doctors, they recommend the Mediterranean diet, which I want to say is like mostly plant based, and then um, I forget what it was. It's like I think it's like half plant based, and then maybe 25% animal protein and 25% whole grains. So anyway, yeah. So that was my weight. You know, I lost a bunch of weight. I gained a bunch of weight. Now I'm looking to lose maybe not as much weight, because the way I was is like people were looking at me like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Wow, you look great, but are you? Is this like? Did you mean to lose this much weight?" And I kind of get it when I look at pictures now. And just I mean, growing up as the fat kid, somewhat, um, to be able to lose that weight and to look that skinny, and of course, I just kept going and going and going, because I couldn't stop. But I realized at a certain point it was unhealthy. And I don't mean the diet wasn't healthy or the program or anything like that. It was just my unhealthy obsession to look skinny. And the frustrating thing about it is that, I was a 242-pound man at the beginning of the year, and then I was a 162-pound man a year later. And so at that point, I had loose skin hanging off my body. So whereas I looked better than I ever have, in that way, I felt I looked worse. Um, and again, this is all my ego. This is all, I guess, my self-image, my negative self-image about how I feel about myself. Um, but going forward, it's going to be about health, but it's going to be about what's best for me. Not what makes me look the best, even though it's probably going to, I'm probably going to look better as I get healthier, look better. I'm doing air quotes on the video. But yeah, the whole point is supposed to be my health, my happiness, my productivity, my vitality. Um, so I stopped seeing Dr. Jody. It got to a point where I felt like we've we've basically done all we could, and it was just like little maintenance checkups, like every, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. So again, I still have all her literature. I still, I still eat basically the same things that I was eating back then. Um, I'm trying to avoid the splurging on the sweets and whatnot. Ultimately, I think my plan is to stick to her plan, to get my weight down relatively quickly, and then probably at some point, I don't want to say I'm going to go full Mediterranean, but just have a diet where I do have like, just a little bit, just one scoop of brown rice or one piece of whole wheat bread a day or every so often. Um, but anyway, going from that, so I was seeing the post COVID clinic at Queens, and nothing against them, but they had me on antihistamines. They had me on. I'm still on two of them. And I wouldn't say it wasn't working, but it was just kind of a thing like, oh, take these and come see me in 6 months. I'm like, oh, okay. Like the first follow up was like a month or two, but then after that, it's like, oh, come see me in 6 months. And I don't know, maybe I'm just impatient because I'm like, okay, well, I'm still getting sick. But anyway, so I started. I was looking for a different route, a different path. Um, so I started seeing. Her name is Dr. Janae Ferrante at Hawaii Natural Medicine, which is a naturopathic doctor. Um, the thing about that is that it's pricey. And UHA, my health insurer, and most health insurers, I guess this goes just for about all, are they may or may not cover it. As it stands, I've had I think three like office visits with her. The first one was 300, and each additional is 150, and so I submit those invoices to UHA, and I haven't heard back about the initial one. I got a response to one of the other ones, and they said it wasn't covered because I don't know, they didn't get the information they need. But anyway, the point is, I took this leap and spent all this money to see Dr. Ferrante and all the supplements that she recommended for me, all the treatments she recommended for me, and I'll just put it out there on Front Street. I am now on testosterone. It's not Medicaid. I guess it's hormone replacement therapy, right? So, because according to my labs, prior to the treatment, I was in normal range for a man my age, I guess, testosterone. But her whole spiel, if you will, was that I don't come here and spend all this money to be normal. I come here, to her office to feel optimal, and that's where she wants me. She wants me to be optimal. Um, and I guess, other things going on, but I guess I'm more optimal now. I'll say one thing. Knock on. I don't have any wood. Well, I'm gonna knock on my little file cabinet here, but that's where the microphone is mounted to. So I don't want to do that. But anyway, I haven't gotten sick. I haven't got significantly sick, like got to take off work sick in. Honestly, I don't remember how long, which is great. I still get like every so often I'll get like I'm starting to feel like body aches, or I'm starting to feel a little pinch in my throat, but then it just goes away. So yeah, so far so good. I think I started seeing her in, I don't know, it was late last year, September or something like that. So that's where I am now. I'm feeling better, healthier. I still haven't been exercising much. Like I said, I just went to the gym this morning. I had a little streak of where I was doing burpees every morning, but that stopped. A big thing is my sleep. So throughout like 2023, I had two sleep studies. One that said I had severe obstructive apnea. Sleep apnea, if you don't know, is where when you're sleeping, like the back of your throat or your palate, they say, gets closed off, and then you can't breathe. And that's what snoring is. It's like the air coming and going, and that palate like um, kind of flapping, and that's where snoring comes from. And so, of course, at that time when I took the first sleep study, I was heavier, much heavier. Not heavier than I am now, but I was on the heavier side, and so of course I had um, severe obstructive sleep apnea. But then I took another sleep study. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 months later, and then they said it was. I don't know if it was gone, but it was far less. And again, I was on this diet with Dr. Jody, so I had lost a bunch of weight. So obviously that is a factor. The point I'm trying to get to here is that now that I've fallen off the wagon, so I want to say severely, um, so completely. Now that I've fallen off the wagon and I've gained all this weight, now my sleep apnea has come back, which is kind of a difficult thing. So I have what is called a BiPAP. The most common, I guess, the most common machine is a CPAP, which stands for constant positive airway pressure. And mine is BiPAP, bi-level positive airway pressure. So I'm using that now. I honestly don't know if it's working. I've been very frustrated with the machine. I remember that first sleep study. I had the sleep study. I had a hell of a hard time falling asleep on the machine. I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. I had a hell of a hard time falling back to sleep. But I remember quite distinctly, like that next day. I mean, I was done with the sleep study like 5 o'clock in the morning. I went home. I probably went back to sleep for a little bit, and then I worked. I worked 2 to 10 that night. But I remember feeling like such a difference. Like it's later in the evening, and I'm still like wide awake, and I feel energized, and I'm like, wow, this is it. This is the thing that's gonna help me. Um, but that's the only time I felt that way with this machine. And I've kind of come and gone with it. Like while I'm looking at it right now for those watching me on camera, while like I was losing all the weight and I was still not sleeping great, I got to a point where is this thing working? And again, I have mixed feelings about it. I can't. I've never had that like aha moment. Like this is it. This is working. Um. So I got to a point where I had a sleep study early last year. Um, and that was like a take home sleep study. It was just basically like a little electrode or something on my chest and a little thing on my finger. And that said I didn't have sleep apnea. And that was honestly kind of frustrating. Of course, I don't have sleep apnea. Like, hooray, that's great. But I'm like, okay, but I'm still not resting well. I still feel tired every day. I mean, WTH. But as it stands right now, as I was given some pretty, um, I was given a heartfelt speech by my therapist student about the importance of using the machine every night, and so I've been using it every night. And again, some days I feel okay, and some days I feel like not so great. I guess that takes me into chronotype. So a chronotype is, what type of chrono you are. That doesn't make sense. So it basically means if you're a morning person or you're an evening person or you're a late evening person. If you're interested in like sleep and the science of sleep and all that kind of stuff, look up Matt Walker on YouTube, and he has a book too on whatever Amazon. Um, but he talks about chronotypes, and basically, I don't even know. I should have kept like I should keep records of like my own medical like records, and just like when I'm sleeping, what I'm eating, da 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 da, so I can make my own determinations on that data. Cause so basically, sometime during 2023, I switched from most of the time on my job. I've worked 2 to 10 swing shift, and I thought that didn't agree with me. So I said, "Oh man, if I could go to day shift, that would be great, and I would get much better sleep." Didn't work out that way. Um, when it came to day shift, it wasn't that I had a hard time waking up in the morning. It was like I was waking up too early. For if that makes sense, I'm waking up too early. I'm going to work, kind of dragging my butt through my shift, and then I'll get home. And I guess, ideally, this is on me. Ideally, I should probably go for a walk or go outside or do something. But no, I'm usually sitting here in my recliner and just watching YouTube or playing video games or something. And I find myself falling asleep, like in the middle of the afternoon. One good thing about that shift, and one of the reasons I was excited to go that shift, because if I'm working mornings, then I can go to the gym at like early in the morning where there's very few people there. But apparently, 24-hour fitness, Kapiolani, even at 4 o'clock in the morning, I mean it's not crowded, but it's not exactly dead either. Um, from what I experienced at that gym, the best time to go was like early Sunday morning. I mean, I was there once at, I want to say, before 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and it was, I mean, again, it wasn't like empty, but it was like so few people. And anyway, I joined Planet Fitness now, but I'm not going to go into the gyms and the pluses and minuses of those. But yeah, anyway, that was my little spiel about sleep. I was on day shift. I don't think it was working. I've recently moved to swing shift, and I think it's working for me. And again, there's all these other factors about like sleep hygiene and exercise and all these other things. What am I doing? What am I not doing to promote healthy, restorative rest? And so right now, that's what I'm working on. I need to get more exercise. I need to go to the gym. Uh, the pulmonologist that I saw last, he just said cardio, get more cardio, and I got kind of frustrated with him, but I'm not going to go into that. But basically, he said get more cardio. I was like, okay, but I didn't really do much. So again, if I'm not sleeping well and I'm not doing what he says, then that's on me. So going from that, I want to talk about this podcast, my YouTube channel, I guess, and my inconsistency. Because it's like, do I really want to do this? Is it something that I'm kind of forcing myself to do because I think I should? Or is it something I really want to do and I'm just afraid? I'm afraid to put myself out there. I would say I'm far less afraid now than I was, like 2 years ago when I started my first podcast, the Lathan Media podcast, youtube.com/@LarthMedia. Just FYI. And I believe I do. I mean, I don't see this as like the thing I want to do, and this is my dream, and I want to have a huge successful podcast. But I see this as an important part of having some kind of, we'll call it a digital identity, a digital public identity online. And And so, along with that, yeah, I want to talk about my inconsistency. So, the last time I recorded an episode was in June. The last, the original podcast, the first one I started before this was the Lathan Minich podcast, and it was kind of the same thing. I recorded one, and then I waited a long time to record the second episode. Then I recorded a couple like in succession, kind of like I think once a month, and then I stopped for the longest time, and then I just gave up on it, and I rebranded here as Lathan Minich. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing here, where I recorded a couple episodes like in short succession of one another, and then we've had this long gap of last June until now. But again, I'll just point at all these issues I've had while I was losing weight, and then I gained weight, and then I went through surgery, and yada yada yada. That's all it is. It's yada yada. And my sleep, obviously my sleep. So if all these other things are in order, my sleep, my exercise, my daily routines, everything else will fall into order as far as everything I want to do with my life outside of, I don't work a 9 to 5. I work a 2 to 10 job, my hourly job. And so that's what I'm hoping to do. And for some reason, I'm motivated by my birthday to like get something done. So here I am. I went to the gym this morning. I'm recording my podcast. But other than that, I'm just going to enjoy the day. And so one of the ways that I kind of motivate myself to do something, record a podcast, even like any kind of content creation, is I've been playing a lot of Civilization 6. If you're out there and if you're into the Civ, you have my admiration. You also have my pity. This game is freaking addicting. If you're into it. But along with that, so I started streaming. So I'm streaming on YouTube. Again, youtube.com/@LathanMinich. So even though I'm quote unquote wasting time by playing video games and distracting myself, at the very least, I'm putting some kind of content out there. Whether or not, anyone's going to watch it it's kind of beside the point. It's nice when people watch it. I think the most I've had is like 15 concurrent viewers at one time, which was nice. But just the fact that I have to open OBS, and I have to work on the camera, and I have to, anything I do to touch the content in any way kind of gets me closer to doing this. I've recorded, what did I oh right, I got my my Logitech G502 right here. It's got like a little thing in it. Anyway, I recorded an unboxing video for that. I bought an Apple Watch. I did an unboxing video for that. Again, these are just little things that I enjoy doing that get me one step closer to doing. I don't want to say something I don't enjoy doing, but something I find far more challenging, which is recording this podcast. So yeah, I basically, I guess what I'm saying is that I kind of took something that was a distraction and a time waste, some might say, and I used it to motivate me to do this, to be productive, to record a podcast. Wow, I kind of rambled for a while there. So where am I going next? I guess that is the question. Where am I going next? Well, I mentioned like my health and how that affects my ability to stay consistent with this podcast and to be productive in any way in life. One thing that I've done, well, I did a lot of last year, and I've done off and on over the past few years, but I've studied Japanese like literally, I want to say literally every day for probably 6 months. I think I took like a week off during my birthday in February, but I think on average, I probably I probably studied close to every day for the first 6 months, and then I fell off a little bit. But yeah, I've learned more, and I can speak more than ever. 日本語が少しわかります。でもまだ上手じゃありません。And so I am going to Japan in a little over a month. It's kind of scary to me. It's like this thing. I get this idea and I do it, and like, oh, all right, I'm going to do this thing. But then as the thing becomes real, I get like nervous and anxious, like, oh my God, I'm really doing this. But see, that's the reason I got the idea, like, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So it was very important to me to buy the tickets. The tickets have been paid for. So I have a flight March 31st from Honolulu to Haneda. Hikoki de. I'm not going to try to speak Japanese right now. So yeah, and along with that, I'm taking a Japanese class at UH. I mean, it's over Zoom, but it's a UH outreach non-credit course. So it's very, I don't know, it's very laid back. There are no tests, there are no grades. It's just a class, which I skipped for the past 2 weeks because, well, first my knee was sore and then my back was sore. I was in a lot of pain, but I'm not going to get into that. The question is, as far as going forward, is me expanding my horizons by going to Japan, like, indulging in a totally foreign culture and just see what that does to me. Because as I live my life now, I barely go anywhere. I went to Indiana last year with my mom to meet my family over there. But yeah, I hardly ever travel on my own or do anything. So all I know is this small apartment and my job and wherever the normal places are where I drive. So I think getting out and traveling, exposing myself to new places, new cultures, new ideas will expand my horizons and, kind of expand on what I think is possible in my life, I suppose. And so with that, my last little talking point here is, where's my mental health? Right now, in this moment, it is great. I feel great. Like I said, I went to the gym this morning. I'm recording my podcast. I'm looking forward to my birthday. But lately it's been, I don't want to say it's been bad. It's been inconsistent. It's been peaks and valleys, which is kind of how it's always been. I mean, if you don't know, if it's the first time you're listening, I'm diagnosed with bipolar depression, and that's kind of the idea. It's ups and downs. It's it's mania. It's manic episodes, and then it's depressive episodes. But I think as far as like my condition itself, it's been kind of the same thing. It's been up and down, where I feel kind of sure of myself and I feel optimistic and happy like I do right now, and other times where I feel depressed and I feel pessimistic and I feel, like I said, 47, what am I doing with my life? That's when I get really like down on myself. Um, but based on today and based on, like I said, my new schedule, um, and based on myself, I'm 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 optimistic about where my mental health is going, where it is now, and where it's going. I said this recently to my therapist. My therapist is Wailua Brandman, APRN, FA, BC, something else. He's got a very long list of titles. But I said to him that, like, on my days off, or whenever I have free time and I don't feel like doing something, I begin to wonder if is it just sleep, or am I just like depressed? If I'm excited about something, I might be more energized. But if I'm not, then it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm tired, or I don't want to do anything, or I don't want to be productive. I don't want to work on my podcast. I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to research going to school. I don't want to research a new job, or I don't want to do this or that. So I think that's something I need to be on the lookout for in myself. I guess I'm going to wrap it up here. I don't want to check the time. I don't know when I started, but I'm going to guess this is going to be about 30, 45 minutes. But yeah, this just came out. This just came out of me. Episode 4. My last podcast, the Larth Media podcast, I did it like literally like Star Wars. I said episode 1, a Phantom Larth. Episode 2, Attack of the Larth. Anyway, episode 4 was a new Larth. And that was the last episode that I recorded of that podcast before a long sabbatical, I guess you might call it, which ultimately turned into just giving up on that podcast. But anyway, my point is, I listened to that episode recently, and it was kind of like this. I was just so excited to be doing it, and I was just talking, and it felt so natural. And that's how this has felt for the most part. So episode 4 of the Lathan Minich Show, is it a new Lathan? I'll say the same thing I said on that episode. I'll say that I hope every new day is a new Lathan, and a new you, and a new whoever. Because that's what life is. Life is about growth. Life is about change. Despite how much we might try to resist it, life will change you, whether you like it or not. And resisting it is just gonna cause you pain and unhappiness. Of course, change can be painful as well, but it's what you get on the other side that's most important. Anyway, I think I'm about done here. Wow, that just again, I'm interested to see how long this is, but yeah, I'm not going to go into that right now. Looking forward to the future. There's a couple of big things that happened that I meant to talk about today, but I don't think I'm not going to get to them. But I found, I'm just going to tease that. I had a big revelation in my family. I'll just say that, as someone who has serious familial issues. Anyway, but no, I'm going to cut it off there. If you enjoyed watching the Lathan Minich Show and you want to support me, you can do so by following the Lathan Minich Show on Apple, Spotify, and most of the top podcast platforms out there. I think there's a Samsung one. Anyway, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you're just listening, you can check out the video version on my channel, youtube.com/@LathanMinich. I am at Lathan Minich on Instagram and Twitter, currently known as X. I refuse to call it X, or just X. And Facebook.com/Lathan Minich. Thank you so much for joining me. And don't forget to love yourself. Have a great day. Bye.